You guys all on there? Good morning. Sorry about the wait, everyone. We had I know slippery road today, and I know that we had some, so I know some of the council members are also on travel too, and some are calling in, so we quit for your patience, and we'll call the meeting to order. It is 9:37. Alan, are you on here?
Yeah.
Do roll call, please. We good?
Yeah, District 1.
On Monday.
Here. District 2.
Here.
District 3.
Here.
And I'm here, Mr. Chair.
We good? We have a quorum. Next up is review and approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few items to add on to the signatory request. I emailed out to the council yesterday. The first will be that resolution we discussed at the Gaming Commission meeting yesterday for Playport Gaming Systems. That will be just a simple resolution. The next is the resolution for the $50,000 from the Youth and Elder Fund allocation to the RBC. And then the third resolution is a resolution for the business grant program from the coronavirus relief funds. And it's written as a grant program, but the only eligible business will be White Earth Enterprises.
Good. Anyone else have anything to add to the agenda?
Could we discuss plastic on the windows again, Mr. Chair? I don't know if we ever did get that taken care of.
Okay, we'll put that down in old business, huh?
Also.
Yeah, because I think we did discuss it. I don't know if we ever come up with a plan. Or...
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that we're gonna have to get programs involved. Someone is gonna have to help our elders out with that. So, be good. What else, Kat?
For District 2, I have 6 things for the, I don't know if any of the council will make it or not.
Oh, the community council?
Yeah.
Okay,
they're gonna
okay.
be on call. But it's the same thing that I brought up about 6 times.
Yeah, we're actually working on that. We're actually looking at,
Is this what you got?
we're actually looking at distributing some CARES Act money. Some of the other remaining pots of the CARES Act money I'll give into the community council. So, you know, I think we'll bring that up probably sometime when we meet next week.
No, let's not put it off. Just do it today.
Well, I know we talked about, Al, do you remember when we talked about distributing $25,000 each to the community councils? But I know talking to Lenny earlier that we mentioned that.
Yeah,
What's that?
we want to do it. We want to do it. It's just Lenny was going to get that resolution and those guidelines put together there. I think that's the only thing we were waiting on. So, and I know we've got one for the business one, but we got to get one for the community-based one.
Sure.
As I recall.
But we can pass it today, huh?
Yeah, you can pass it today.
Yeah, we can pass it
the same
in
parameters.
in the same language, and then then Lenny will get us the guidelines to distribute to the community councils. Is that okay with you guys?
Do you have it? I don't have that for the,
Which one?
for the virus, the money.
Coronavirus relief fund? Is that what you're talking about?
You have.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So next up, we have review and approval of the meeting minutes for 9/17/20 and 9/25/20.
Mr. Chair, do you want to approve the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. Geez, I'm getting one step ahead of myself here, so.
Yeah. So,
Motion to
it's
approve,
two.
approval of
This
the
is one on
agenda.
coronavirus relief fund.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda for today.
Another one.
Motion.
Motion by Ray, second. We give a motion, no, we need a second for the agenda.
Second.
Second by Cheryl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Liquid. Next up is review and approval of the meeting minutes for 9/17/20 and 9/25/20.
Come over and leave.
That's when it's really got low.
That would be all about the law.
Yeah. You know, that cut across from, the side of the circle, just clear. Yeah,
You're
nothing.
kidding.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, except everyone is 40.
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah. At 17 tonight. Okay. Motion for both of them.
Motion by Kathy to approve the meeting minutes for 9/17/20 and 9/25/20. Do we have a second?
To read it.
Yeah, second.
Second by Raymond. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Miigwech. Next up, our reports, our council reports. First up is myself, Chairman. This month has been very interesting, with the meetings that we're having and, working with Lenny and the rest of the council and, looking at some of the CARES Act money. And this is one item we're going to bring up later on. And I reached out to all the council members and, we're looking at redistributing the remaining CARES Act dollars that we have set aside for the enrollments that we didn't use up yet. We're looking at, but we'll come back as the council and we'll talk about it and have, some verbiage on that. So, and also, with this is, I've been pretty busy working alongside with the municipal cannabis, setting meetings up and, looking at presenters and looking at on other ways that we can move this program. And one of the exciting news is that when I was up in Grand Portage last week, the TEC approved to support letter for us. So that was something that was pretty good. And, you know, we got the other 5 other bands that support us in our quest for this medicinal marijuana program that we're going to be starting up here real soon. So also to talk about is the upcoming holidays, you know, and that's one thing I talked to council about before is, you know, of distributing turkeys to all of our band members throughout, you know, not only the reservation but throughout around the state of Minnesota, and getting these turkeys. So it's important that we get your head count so we can order the right amount of turkeys for all the families out there. So that's a good thing that we have coming up here too. And, you know, like I said, it's like, you know, it's been really busy for us, especially with this COVID-19, and, you know, myself and council, we're doing our due diligence to stay as safe as we can. You know, one of the most important parts of it is, you know, things that we look at here is like I'm on the calls every day with the EOC and finding out where we're at, where the numbers are increasing or decreasing at, and, you know, and it's important that we as a council stay in tune with this so we can do our preventative measures, that we get recommendations from our EOC. So it's important to stay safe, and, you know, make sure you wear your mask. So I think that's one of the important things out there. And I just want to say Chimigwich, and, you know, I think that we're doing a great job, and, you know, and we're working hard for you. So that's what I want to say. Miigwech. You. Al?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I did send out a copy of this report of mine. It'll be on the website there for folks to download as well. But I'll just kind of jump right into it. We'll jump ahead to page 4. Scott Omlin, are you on? Hello, Scott. Okay, well, I'll just read this section here. On page 4 for fiscal year 20, quarter 4, for governmental activities, overall year to date from October 2019 to September 30th, 2020, fourth quarter of fiscal year 2020, combined revenue was $178.7 million, and expenditures were $102.7 million. September 30th, 2020, cash on hand was $98.3 million. However, $95.3 million is considered other governmental funds. $45.9 million of these funds belongs to behavioral health, while the general fund was $3 million. Collective expenditures during this period were $102.7 million. Other governmental funds were $83.8 million, and the general fund was $18.9 million. It's important to note that these unaudited preliminary numbers are subject to change as the numbers are finalized. This is the information that I had received from the CFO. If there are any changes, I'll be sure to notify the tribal council as soon as possible. Also, on the next page there, on page 5, you'll see a copy of the fiscal year 2021 budget resolution that we had passed in the September meeting. It is there, it is signed, it is approved. Also attached to that is the program budget for the general fund from pages 6, 7, and 8. Followed by this are special revenues funds, Mr. Chair. For gaming, we do have an update from them. I know you guys were in that meeting yesterday, but do we have Scott or Nick on?
I don't think so. I called Scott earlier. Okay. I got cut off. So
I'll just read their. They sent me a memo over, Mike.
okay.
I'll just read this off then. This is from the financial team over there. Consolidated revenue for the gaming through the fourth quarter ended September 30th was $75.3 million. Consolidated expenses through fourth quarter were $70.5. Net income was $4.7 million, where Monoman was at $4.1 million and Bagley was at $606,000. The budget through the fiscal quarter 4 was $121.5 million of revenue and $110.3 in expenses for a budgeted net income of $11.2 million for fiscal year 2020. as of September 30th. Fiscal year to date revenue was $46.2 million lower than budget, while expenses were $39.8 million lower than budget, resulting in net income being $6.4 million lower than budget. Bagley Casino for fiscal year 2020 to the fourth fiscal quarter, and then September 30th, the property earned $7.2 million in revenue with expenditures of $6.6 million, and their net income was $606,000. The casino cash on hand on September 30th was $22.2 million. The cash at hand at the close of last fiscal year, September 30th, 2019, was $23 million. And this is due to after Shooting Star capital improvement projects and transfers to the RBC, and the 90-day closure due to the COVID-19 cash has dropped by $0.8 million, about $800,000. There's also a note in here about us closing the casino down earlier this year, which resulted in zero gaming revenue for April and May. The fourth quarter revenue was $13.4 million below budget, and expenses were also $13.4 million below budget, resulting in net income being on budget for the quarter. The estimated impact of COVID on the financial results for the fourth quarter ending September 30th, 2020 is a reduction of properties net income by $9.7 million. Again, they also note that the unaudited preliminary numbers are subject to change as the numbers are finalized. Continuing on to page 11 for the RBC CARES Act funds, I also asked Mr. Scott Omelet to provide us an update on this, Mr. Chair. As of this report, the total CARES Act funds received by the band are $32.2 million. The RBC CARES Act Budget Resolution 1 was budgeted to expend $9.7 million. CARES Act Budget Resolution 2, which was the $500 you referenced, Mr. Chair, further expends these funds by using $8.3 million. And as of October 7th, I asked them also for an update, how many checks we've issued. As of October 27th, the tribe has issued approximately 8,075 checks, resulting in about $4 million being issued to band members seeking COVID-related assistance. RBC CARES Act Resolution 3 was approved for $7 million for Shooting Star Casino and White Earth RBC departmental COVID needs. Until further notice, these are additional CARES Act funds approved for related to the CARES Act. He has listed $57,000 for Circle of Life for a purification system, some software needs for GP and human resources at $149,000, some more hardware and software for Marco for $169,000, Minico Technologies $59,000 for Laserfish hardware and software, and Tribal D $37,900 for Terra hardware and software. At the moment, at the time of this report, the remaining unbudgeted CARES Act funds are $6.6 million. Now, this is subject to change with the proposed additional allocation, Mr. Chair. Moving along to the page 16, some of the highlights here, and I'll ask Lenny to read an update for the legal department, but we did, for the quarter, complete an inventory of minutes. We also have been taking a look at qualified expenditures for the enterprises, which you had mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair. We're also monitoring the congressional action related to CARES Act. We've been taking a look at some of the community council expenditures and correcting eligible expenditures as well, so that we make sure that everything is in order. We've also been taking a look at some of the stipends that have been issued. Also processing our audits as well, and then quarterly disbursements to community councils and other groups. I should also back up a little bit that the CARES Act funds are also subject to change if we do make a distribution to the community councils. Before I ask Lenny to brief the final update there, I do want to take a note, and I do want to thank the band membership for the incredible patience that they've had during this time and the pandemic that our tribe has gone through, our businesses have suffered through, and we're very resilient people, and as well as our managers and our employees, just being there and helping our people is incredibly important. Last weekend, the White Earth Urban Community Council had conducted some tribal IDs at the Clifton Place in Minneapolis, and there were over 100 people that had showed up to get that process. So that was a really good thing. And I do want to thank that community council for stepping forward, and our other community councils for that matter as well, for stepping forward and helping out our people, especially given the condition. That being said, Mr. Chair, I'll be followed up by Lenny to give a brief update on the legal behavioral health. Thank you.
Very good.
And just for reference, before I begin, Mr. Secretary Treasurer, I just received word that Scott Omlid has joined the call. So if there's anything you want him to say before I go, that'd be fine.
Yes, I am on the call now.
Scott, yep, Scott, I just read through the quarter 4 statement you provided, the budget resolution, and the RBC CARES Act funds. And then we did mention possible grant to the enterprises and to community councils. Did you have any final comments on those at all?
Well, just on the grants to maybe community councils, any grants we give out, whether it's community council or White Earth Enterprises or something of that nature, we'll just have to make sure that we follow all the guidelines according to the CARES resolution, as well as federal reporting, because we may have to report them as additional sub-award grantees, which takes, requirements of them spending the money in an appropriate way and reporting information back to us, because we'll then have to report their information on our audit. So we just have to make sure that we follow all the guidelines and communicate well with the people that we might give the money to, and at the same time they'll have to cooperate, which I'm sure they will.
Are we going to need a resolution or anything like that for the community councils if we issue this grant to them?
Yes, and the way that we can do it with the community councils is it doesn't necessarily have to be a grant. It can be an allocation to the community councils. We structured it for White Earth Enterprises a little bit differently, just because of the more, I guess, the more leeway that they would have in doing it through a grant versus just an allocation. But as Chairman indicated, the council can move forward today with approving allocation to the community councils, and then we'll follow up. Legal will follow up with a resolution to that effect.
One final question before Lenny, you do your final brief. I just want to point out to the tribal council, we have included the $50,000 to help each district, and we've got that in the signatories, right?
Yes. Yep.
Today?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep.
That'd be good.
So just a real quick update on behavioral health, and I provided this to the council through Secretary Treasurer Roy's report. It's on the last page. Just so everyone's aware, on the $14,207,215 overpayment that the Department of Human Service is alleging they made to White Earth, we're in the process of continuing to consult with the Department of Human Services. It's in the legal realm now, which is why I'm giving the update. We are talking pretty regularly with the DHS General Counsel, and now the Assistant Attorney General, Leonard Schweitz, is also representing DHS as we move forward with the administrative law process. White Earth has filed its request for appeal, and we're moving forward. It's an administrative process in order to get an administrative law judge to make a recommendation on whether or not the state should be allowed to recover this $14 million. And the primary argument that White Earth is making is that because DHS provided guidance to White Earth and White Earth reasonably relied on that guidance, that DHS should not be allowed to recover the funds. What's not in my report is just this morning, we had a conference call with Amy Akbay from DHS and Leonard Schweitz, the Assistant Attorney General, to talk about procedure going forward. We are going to move forward with consolidating the cases for White Earth and Leech Lake. So it'll be one case. It'll be like DHS versus Leech Lake and White Earth, because Leech Lake is in the same boat we are in terms of allegations being levied against it. And that way there'll be one recommendation from the administrative law judge and one final decision made by DHS Commissioner Hartstead. We're looking at getting the initial hearing with the administrative law judge scheduled for the second or third week of December. There's a regulatory requirement that they have to give the appellants 30 days notice, and so that's the reason. However, based on the call this morning, all the parties agreed, White Earth, Leech Lake, and the Department of Human Services, that we would utilize the 30 days from November into December to come to agreement on certain facts and stipulations so that we can get the case resolved as soon as possible.
Miigwech. All right, well, miigwech, guys. Miigwech, Alan, for your report. So next up is district reps report. So District 1.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to bring up the thought that I see miigwech to the winter housing for, we got 19 homes, public or personal homes being fixed up. And also we got the homes in Wild Rice Loop going to be redone. And we got 4 new homes coming into Rice Lake, and hopefully they will be set up and ready to go. They do got a Halloween party today. I say miigwech to our community council for setting up this drive-by Halloween thing is what they're doing. They're going to also have a contest, but they do got bags of candy, and that's from 3 to 5 today, just so everybody knows that. And yeah, just a little update on this trip to the cities. It was very enjoyable. We got to meet with a lot of the constituents down there, and a lot of them did take advantage of our getting their IDs made and handing out the care boxes, and also with our people who were down there with our clothing from our place here at in Woburn there. I mean, there was a lot of them taking orders and ordering different things, and so that was a good time down there. I mean, it was nice to visit with a lot of our members. And just like I said, we are going to bring that up, but on plastic on windows, I've been getting a lot from elders, not only elders, some younger generation also, if they could get it. And I don't know how we're going to do that, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. Otherwise, it's been going pretty good, and I believe Mr. Fox is going to get on later and give an update on what's going on with our community council, so I'll leave that up to him. But otherwise, things have been going pretty good, but I am very thankful for the housing, the homes that are being fixed, and the ones that are going to be remodeled, and the 4 new homes. But other than that, everything seems good, except for the COVID. A lot of people are afraid of the COVID. It is spreading up here, and it's getting a little out of hand, but I know we are doing our best to keep it under control. And I think so far we've done a pretty good job with our ELC. So other than that, I say miigwech, Mr. Chair, and that's it for me.
Miigwech. Can't do
And see, for District 2, I'd like to report that the COVID is starting to get out of control. We've got to face that, and we've got to go more with Matt. Another thing is the housing. The housing, we have 14, and 7 were already taken for District 2. And I finished off with 7, but I would like this, everyone had came to, you know, on this list that I have from housing was, right now, they're rentals. And they gotta go to their landlords to get those straightened out. What I wanted was 2 for Wabash, 2 for houses, and 2 for Monoman, and the rest would be for Nawash for housing. But all of them are placed, all 4 are placed in that. I also believe we should go by population size. I think we have enough data to go through and see. And it would be a fairest to our people if we went by the numbers that we have listed. So this is something to think about. And thank you very much. It's about all I can say right now.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Miigwech, District 3.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I may lose you guys because I'm on my way back from my granddaughter's appointment. So, but anyways, for the month of October, I've been working to get more of our members on the job. I know it's difficult right now because of COVID, but I'm hoping soon to sit down with the HR director and probably Lenny and the ED to get them HR policies updated so that our members can have more of an advantage, is what I want to say, I guess. Pine Point has been going well. I haven't made it out there for the last couple Wednesdays because one day I didn't feel well, and the other day my granddaughter hurt her ankle, so that's what we're doctoring on today. But Paulette has been out there, and we love it out there. It's just an awesome place to be, and the people out there are so friendly. I also attended the Cass Lake meeting again, and they're working on their Toys for Tots, which I think Maria has a pretty good grip on that, so I'm hoping everything goes smoothly for that. But also I'd still like to get them that extra 100 pounds of wild rice to contribute to their elders and families up there. I don't know how I'm supposed to go about that, but if somebody can let me know. As for that, that's about it. And I want to give another shout out to behavioral health and all the departments that are putting on the drive-through spook thing out on Christian Retreat. They had quite the turnout last night. To tell you the truth, I was too scared to go because I'm a big chicken, but my kids went and they loved it, and we're gonna drive them through there again tonight. So if you have the chance, go out there. It's from 7 to 10 tonight again. So awesome event. So, well, I guess 6 to 10, my granddaughter said so, but awesome. And I just like to say, Miigwech for all of you for having patience with me and teaching me new things. Thanks.
Yeah, Miigwech, Annie.
Hey, Annie, this is Lenny, and just so you're aware, I have had an initial conversation with Nicola about updating our HR policies, and so we got actually a policy committee group going in Microsoft Teams. So we're looking forward to sitting down with you and getting our policies straightened out.
All right.
Sounds great. My name's Miigwech.
All right, guys, thank you, District Reps. Next up, we have our division reports, and I know outside here we have our Natural Resources Department, and they're going to talk about our deer hunting season. So I'll grab them right now. Okay.
How do you want us to sit, Mike?
Anywhere in here is fine.
We have to keep a seat apart.
That's fine.
Morning.
Well. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, yourself?
Oh, things up.
All right, everyone, next up on the agenda, we have our division reports, and today we have our Division of Natural Resources. And what they're going to talk about is the deer hunting season. So to clarify some of those, the messages that I get, and like I said, I don't, and that's one of the reasons why I call in this division to, of course, council, to give our membership a more clear view than what I can explain to our membership. So they're here today. So I want to say miigwech to Monica and her team, and you have the floor.
Well, thanks for having us here too. I'm glad that is here because I know it's more than just the hunting season that come up. It's a lot of the land access issues and how do we deal with that, especially this time of year. It's to be kind of a lot of different things going on. I think first off, Doug can talk about his hunting seasons and how he determines that. As far as he's been the wildlife manager for quite some time. So
yeah, so the seasons and limits, at least for the years that I've been here, which is that 20?
Oh, that's mine. That's
Anyway, so when I started, the structure for the seasons limits basically haven't changed in almost 30 years. Since the time, and Al, do you remember the date when the tribe had a conservation code and took over seasons limits?
The conservation code was actually established in 1974.
Okay, so as far as I know, the structure, like especially for the deer season, it's historically been 2 Saturdays before state opening. And that hasn't changed in 25 or 30 years. It's always been the same. And so having just been doing that, it was done before I started, that's how long it's been. And then traditionally it always runs usually through December, and nothing has historically changed a whole lot.
The 1 deer to 2, actually,
What's the harvest this year? Is it 2 years?
It's one.
One tag?
Yep,
1 take?
1 tag this year.
Okay.
So on that realm, so the tribe has never offered 2 deer until, let's look back, was it like 04 or 05 was the first time ever that 2 deer had been. And that was coming off the winters of 95, 96, 96, 97, which was some of the, harshest. I mean, we lost somewhere around 75, 80% of deer herd. We had 5 years straight of next to no severe winters, and the deer population climbed to the highest levels it's ever been in the state of Minnesota ever. And so, some of those seasons got increased to 2. And now we're back to, I don't know what we'd call some normal winters where it's been rough. And so we're going to fluctuate between 1 and 2 deer. The best part is we're trying to manage, our harvest and our deer at a level so that we can offer 2 as much as we can. But I can't control nature and what winter does. And so there's going to be times where it's going to have to be 1. There's going to be years it could be 2 or, potentially 3 if we have a bunch of really, really nice winters. Winter is the big limiting factor for everything. We can't control that. Deer, hunters, and everybody else has no control over what happens for our winter kill.
I guess a couple questions I have for you guys is with the deer hunting season. Now, I know I had a couple memberships message me on it. So who can hunt on our land? Is it just members only?
On the tribal trust land?
Yeah.
Yes.
Only members, okay. All right.
in the past, there has been the land access permits that were given out to where a tribal member could bring
A friend.
a friend, whoever, with them. And those are because the orders are back in effect now.
Right.
That was rescinded and then it was turned back, and also now we're kind of looking at, where do we want to go with that issue? Shanda and Lenny have been looking at some different ideas on how to.
And every year, it just, it's up to whatever the council decides on the land access permits, because those are non-Indians that come in and hunt on tribal land with that permit. But they have to have a tribal member in the party within shouting distance of that person. When we first issued those, I want to say 8-9 years ago, there was so much abuse of the permit that we started tightening up the restrictions, and now the person has to be within shouting distance. They can't just be, a mile down the road. So I'd say in the last 2-3 years, there's been no land access permit, none. But
Well, there was a couple of years where they weren't allowed at all.
yeah, and then the descendant issue is something that's different. Descendant issue is a descendant of a tribal member with a descendant card has to follow state rules and regulations because they're considered non-Indian. And that descendant card gives them access to tribal land. Now, some years the card will say no, tribal members only. So the descendants have to hunt anything but tribal land. To me, you're splitting families apart because now a parent or a grandparent can't hunt with their kids because they're considered descendants and not tribal members. Strawberry Mountain Road, the whole west side is tribal land. The whole east side is county and state forest. So when you get hunting parties, they're split up by that road. The descendants and the non-Indians are on the east side, and the tribal members are on the west side, where the tribal land is. So that's how they fix that problem. But you do have family units that hunt North Trail. They hunt up in the Title Land Trail. They can't do that. They have to be together. So to me, the descendant issue is something that should be looked at each and every year. Some years they'll say, no, we just won't have the descendant cards.
So I was under the impression that the descendant cards were active.
Last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
last year.
last
And
year.
so, and there hasn't been any further action from the council to change that. So it would continue for this season as well. That was my understanding.
Yeah, and it's always been a yearly thing where the council will make the decision, yes, we're going to honor the descendant card. No, we're not going to do it this year. So, go ahead.
Yeah, because I get the flip-flop of both sides. They
Right.
want to hunt with their kids or grandkids, and the other ones don't want no one to hunt them.
Right.
So
We
I
get
just
the
get,
same thing.
and I think that maybe with that question is maybe we can have natural resources put together like a survey or something. We can put it out on our Facebook page and find out from our leadership that we can, how we can handle this and what's best for all of us. And this is what I think that our membership wants to hear is, how can we fix things? How can we modify things? How can we make things more easier for you guys with your jobs? And so I think that'll be something we can come back and maybe bring us a proposal or something. I don't know, council, what do you guys think? I'm one of 5, so.
Well,
Well, this is Annie, I would just like to add that, our membership should have some say. I don't know, they have a lot of questions, and it would be nice if Natural Resources could reach out to them and, talk to them, because, eventually it'll come to the council to make the decision, but they're the ones with all the answers of the questions they are asking. So, in the Facebook post, made sense to me, but I don't know if you all seen it. And, that's something that needs to be addressed with the members, not only on the council level, you know what I mean? But that's all I have to add.
One thing we could do for this year is during the hunting season, with the descendants, being allowed to be on the tribal land, just ask the hunting parties, how do you guys feel about this? And then take a survey as we're out there in the field, because those are the guys that are hunting.
Exactly.
You get ideas and comments from membership, but how many of them hunt? How many does this affect personally, to go hunting?
And one one of the things that the other question I had for this is, and this could probably fit right into some of this, is like, I get calls from elders that want their tanks filled. So I mean, this is something that, I don't know who to call. I mean, I can call you, Monica, or do I talk to, some of these big hunters out there? I guess maybe that could be something where we could figure something out, is how can we fill these tanks for our elders? I think that's something where if a descendant or a band member wants to go out and fill another tank for an elder, that's fine. I think that's what we're gonna have to, look at this, because I know I had a few calls for tanks that elders wanted me to fill, and I was like, I don't even hunt somewhere, so.
And that's kind of what we have in the conservation code, that a tribal member can hunt for another tribal member. Years past, it used to be only if you were disabled or an elder. But then it was changed to tribal member for tribal member. So somebody can go out there, doesn't hunt, but they like, here, here's my tag and the harvest method.
As long
Could
as
you
I
go
have
get
that,
me here?
then I can fill
Yep.
it for them.
They have to have those two in possession to hunt for that person.
Okay.
Well, another thing I thought of is the Wild Rice Committee has been fairly successful that we've had in the past. And, we make sure that the people on there are racers. So maybe we need to put together a committee for deer hunting. Just get a handful of people together and ask them to help guide us on what membership is thinking. And I know Will can bring up his netting. That's another issue that gets brought forward quite a bit, just the netting. And he does communicate, I would say frequently, with some people that do net, and gets a lot of ideas from them, and that helps guide his season. So that's the PowerPoint that you have in your handout. So you kind of brought together all of his fisheries ideas, puts it up right there in front of you.
Yeah, because I think one of the things with even with the netting part is that it's like, why is our netting season, like kind of, I suppose, like with our hunting season, and why is it so late? I think some of our members like to see it start earlier, especially the elders are like to see netting season start like 2 weeks earlier than.
Mike, is this time for me to answer the questions? Or?
Oh, no, I'm just saying some of the questions out there, and of course, you will answer that with your PowerPoint. So there you go, Will. Go ahead.
All right, so what I have that you guys have in front of you today, I don't have it up on the screen. I don't know if you want to go through it or just address particular parts. Have you guys all had a chance to look at this today? If not, I can start at page 1, and you want to just kind of.
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Okay, so what I put together is, this is a hybrid. I use this for when I go talk to youth and different organizations and things. I'll use this PowerPoint, and I added some other things in there. So this year was different this year due to COVID. We were about one of the only agencies in the state of Minnesota distributing walleyes and doing egg fertilization. We have pretty good co-op agreements with Leech Lake. They're a great partner. We also have partnered with the state of Minnesota. The fish that we take, we co-manage the reservation for those lakes. So this year, we were able to go out from Big Elbow, Little Bemidji. We collected 4 million walleye eggs. Out of those 4 million walleye eggs, 1.6 million fry returned. We returned 225,500 fish back into the source lakes that we took the fish out of. That was Big Elbow, Little Bemidji. So Big Elbow got 160,000 for pot walleye fry. Little Bemidji got 65,500. 200,000 went into White Earth rainbow ponds. We have those little 1 acre ponds down at the hatchery. We grow the fish down there until they're about even, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 6 times. And the rest went into natural rearing ponds. You'll see sometimes we have little ponds all over the reservation where we grow our fish in the fall and we trap them. So if you go to probably page 4 here, kind of give you an update of what we stocked. We were able, out of our spring stock that we did from our drainwell ponds, we were able to stock 21 lakes of walleyes this year, which was 132,464 walleye went into the spring. That was a pretty good year for us right there. You can see the list of lakes on there that you guys have in hand. During our fall stocking though, we actually just got done with that here. The weather changed in a hurry on us, stuff started freezing up, so we had to halt. 89,540 walleyes were trapped. Now these walleyes here, you can see the picture there. These walleyes range from anywhere from 4 to 7 inches, depending on the food source and the lake that we put them in there. The picture there is an example of the walleye we stocked, the size we'd see. 18 additional lakes were stocked. So we ended up doing, what was that? I can't remember. There were 38 lakes, I believe. There was one repeat in there. We ended up stocking 38 of our reservation lakes here with walleye this year. The next page you'll see, I took over the program basically in 2016. So I have a chart on there. So in the last 5 years, White Earth has stocked 1,102,213 walleyes in my time here. You can see every year as we get more proficient at what we're doing, learning on the job, doing better, you can see that we have done better every year. Second chart, there's a percent change from year 0, which is 2016. You can see that we've done greatly better than we have in the past. I'd like to point out that we stripped our own fish this year. We didn't rely on anybody else for fish. You can see the dramatic increase of fish that we were about to stock by doing it ourselves. The next page now, this is getting into the comments for the Facebook comments. So the questions arise, how we set the seasons as we do. So the chart that says acres, those are all the lakes that are open to, is this page here, right here, Mike? These are all the lakes that are open. There's 20 lakes open to netting for the reservation right now. The average size of those lakes, when you do a deposit average, is 799 acres. So if you look at this page here, the next page of that little pie chart, Leech Lake is a partner of ours. I use those guys for a lot of my resources and I contact them if I need assistance. At any given time, Leech Lake has 290 to 310,000 acres of water available to net the year. And that little slice of pie there, that's what we have available to us right there. So I just want to give update there too. That drives some of our decision making of how long our season lasts and when we do it as we do it. 75% of our lakes are under 1,000 acres. Lakes under 1,000 acres, from what I've seen in my experience talking to my peers and other tribes, lakes under 1,000 acres are vulnerable to overharvest. Just they're not overly big. And then 30% of our lakes are under 500 acres, to put that in perspective. So if we're looking at 1,000-acre lake as a threshold for possible overharvest, and that's all method of harvest. Angling, hooking line, everything, all methods of harvest. You got to think that we're not blessed with overly big water around here. Our waters are pretty small. We have a lot of water, but a lot of our lakes are small. A lot of them, we're looking at like little sugar bushes just tick over 200 acres, things like that. They're pretty small in relative terms. Now, this slide here, all that I got here, this is the driving point of why we have it as we do. These are numbers that I've taken for myself. I didn't take these from any other agency. I went back in our records for all the sampling that we've done over the last long time, years that I've been here for quite a while. If you look at that chart, you can see in August, the average water temperature is 75.74 degrees Fahrenheit. That's August 15th. September 15th, the average water temperature is 64.52. October, it's 59.68. And then when you go to November 15th, that drops sharply. You can see the dip in the water temp. As that water temp dips, that's your sweet spot for the netting period that we have right there. And the reason we do that is when you're netting fish sometimes will be caught in net right away. Sometimes you'll catch them in the last few hours of the soak. So when the water temperature is cold, those fish, they're preserved in a net. You'll pull that net, your fish are all fresh. I'll give you an example here. This is what you expect to see in a cool water setting for netting. But if you push it back a little earlier, the earlier you put it, obviously the water is warmer. The fish that are soaking in that net are prone to decay. You see the fish come out of there, they're mushy, they're white, their gills are, or they're white, they're not pink anymore. You can darn near push your finger through the meat of the fish. And the cooler it is when you're netting, the better return you have on your fish. It's usable and it decreases the chance of any waste dramatically. Our seasons that we have set forth, I went through historical netting. I just pulled some random ones. In 2007, it was October 20th to December 31st. 2012, it was October 20th to December 31st. 2014, it was October 18th to December 31st. However, in 2016, we met with the council and some discussions similar to this took place. So the regular netting got pushed back to October 1st. That lasted for 2 years. We started to see more and more the water was pretty warm. It caused a concern. I talked to some netters. They said, no, it's too warm. We can't go back. We revisited in a session similar to this, and the netting season was agreed upon to be pushed back to October 20th, which drives our water temperature back down. However, when that happened, then Mike, you brought up the concern of elders. We did implement the elder netting season.
Okay.
So whenever the regular season starts, we'll just use an example of this year. It started on the 24th. 2 weeks prior, then elder season starts on the 10th. So how I have that set up is just for record keeping for me, and then sometimes the CA will get called. Hey, netting season is open. Why is someone netting? the elders, I will take phone calls from them. I'll fill out a form. Say, Mike, where do you want to net this? You know, you'll say Strawberry Lake. Okay, great. Who's your helper? We'll give them a permit ad and they go out and net. So they do have a two-week jump on that. And of course, you know, that I always like to start it on a Saturday. It just helps the enforcement aspect of it. So it's a plus minus a few days every year, but usually right around that October 20th is when they start the netting for the water temperature. That drives everything. So after I did the math, there were some questions about how, you know, amount of time netters are available to go out there. On any given year, there's 10 to 11 lakes of netting open to tribal members this season, which is 70 to 77 days. If you add in there the elder season netting, you're looking at 12 to 13 weeks of netting per year, which is 84 to 91 days total per year. So approximately at any given time of the year, 23 to 25% of the year is open to tribal members. So I know there was concerns about, you know, we're not given adequate time, this and that. So I just want to say that there is quite a bit of time. And of course, there's always the option to push it back. That's happened before. So December 30th, 31st rolled around. Say we had a late ice, people wanted to get Tullaby, the ice was unsafe. There's always an option to push it back in January, which that works great for me because the water is cold, fish are going to be preserved in the great. And it gives people time and safety. They can get out on the ice and walk around and up the tip till they can feel safe getting out there. So that's always an option too. I also like to point out too that there was concerns about tribal members with COVID being able to provide food for their families. I want to point out that the way we have the seasons to limit for angling and rough-fish, the seasons technically don't close. They're open year-round. There are daily possession limits, but there's not quote-unquote a freezer limit, which I say how many you can have at home in your possession. So a tribal member can go out one day, take their limit, go out the next day, take their limit. So there's no possession. You can't tell a tribal member you got too many walleyes. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that too, that we're not, if you look at the regulations, you're not limited to just 10 walleyes in your freezer. You can have as many as you want in there. There's no limit on that. It's just a daily limit. It's not a possession limit. And then the rough fishing too, we have a season, there's a specific time set aside for night spearing that just optimizes the peak runs to reduce your harvest on that. And then, you know, there's some other questions too about what we do to promote these kind of things. And I just got to put a little slide in here too. You know, we work with the math and science program, all the programs chip in with that. We've showed them how to set trap net, we showed them how to trap or set gill nets. We show the youth how to prepare the fish that they harvest, how to clean them, how to cook them. We even cook them for them out there. We work with Indian Ed programs, working with Monoman now. Probably might be going out with them next week to go set a net, show the children how to do it, how the kids how to do it.
How many do you get? How many kids do you get?
For those programs?
Yeah.
Doug, how many for summer school? Usually we have 4 classes split up and it varies year to year depending on what's going on. Usually it's 4 groups of 8 to 12 kids. So,
oh, wow.
So 40, 50 kids at a time. It all depends on what's going on. Sometimes summer rec cuts into that. Yeah. But we do have a good turnout, and I know the kids really enjoy it. You can tell when they like something like this because they're quiet, they're attentive, and they like things like this that they can put their hands on. You know, sometimes if you try to project them in like slideshows or even classroom work, I was a kid too, that's boring, but when you get out there and you're putting your hands on the fish, you're actually implementing a net, you're pulling a net, their hands on, and they really enjoy it. And all these things that we do, we weren't able to do it this year because of COVID, and there actually wasn't a request, but Nato Harvest Festival, we left this for them. So, we are out there actively promoting, tree use and things for members too. So, do you guys have any questions for me? I guess I just kind of put this together as some of this is an educational component that I use to talk to kids, and the other part I was just addressing how I do set the seasons. But water temperature does drive everything, and the amount of acres that we have drives everything. What we have to do is, right now our program can stock the lakes, we can keep the numbers right where they are, which is working. But any kind of drastic change to these things, we will see a change in population dynamics of the fisheries, and also, puts more stress on our staff, and the more demand, the more that we're gonna have to output down in fisheries down there. But do you guys have any particular questions regarding this at all? Or
how do you add on our fish been for the harvest fund? They're getting smaller and smaller, and they cut it.
So what we do is we go and collect them from from our rearing ponds. We have rearing ponds all over, and we have Birch Lake is our source lake for that. We have fish staggering in size all over there, and it just usually the request comes in. We have a couple weeks to do it, and we try very hard to get good sized fish, but usually there's around 100 to 150 fish we can harvest for that. And you get the fish, and we don't want to be throwing fish back if we need 150 fish in case the fishing is slow. So we'll clean them up. So sometimes you do get smaller fish, sometimes you do get bigger fish. But we try our best to accommodate everything. But when we're out there, we take as many as we can get. And then, sometimes it's a really good year, we get the big ones, sometimes they're a little on the small one.
I was wondering how we get more.
More fish?
Yeah.
For the harvest?
For the harvest.
You just request more. The one thing that I need is, I need to make sure we have enough time to get the fish for you. Sometimes the weather is bad, sometimes we're in the middle of a project and we'll have to step away. And another thing too is we purchased a vacuum sealer. So if you guys are interested in that, you're going to need more. And if you don't mind frozen fish, we're gladly accommodate you for that too. We'll get the fish, we'll vacuum seal them up. They won't be sitting there for a year. We'll have them, within a few weeks. I know sometimes people want, fresh fish that are just freshly filleted, but sometimes it doesn't give us an adequate amount of time on it.
No, but they're starting to say that the walleye bite.
That walleye bites. Yeah. No, it just depends, because Birch Lake usually holds high numbers for us, and when you go out there and collect the fish out there,
okay.
We have different year classes in there. So when we stock that lake, we stock it on the heavy side.
All
So
right.
you don't want all the same year class. So for me as a fisheries aspect, I'm glad to see that there's small ones, there's medium ones, there's really big ones. That's good for me to see. And we can't hardly target the big ones all the time too, because it hurts the fishery. We can't target the small ones all the time for the fishery. So we like to see it spread around pretty evenly.
Okay.
But if you want more fish, please keep in mind, you guys, Data Watch is pretty good about it, but sometimes we'll get calls, 2 days prior. I need 200 fish, and
Right.
if we have time, and we'll gladly vacuum seal and freeze them. We won't give you old fish; they'll all be popped in a couple of weeks.
Well, that thing have a shopping board.
Yeah, our shocking boat broke down, but it's a good time for it to break down because of COVID. We didn't have really that.
How much does that cost anyway?
I put in a bid.
Yeah.
And I still waiting to hear back from the bid, but the guy told me off the top of it has to be about $130,000 to $140,000. The other one that we have, there's a circuit rider team that will come around to repair it. They come around every few years, but COVID has screwed that up too. They're not able to come around because there's so many electrical things on there. It needs certification from an electrician. Right now the boat is unsafe, so we need to get that looked at. And they'll come around, but they think not next year, but the year after. We could bring it to them. But we have to see. I don't know what COVID's going to do, so I don't know where we want to travel around.
Yeah, I can understand that.
As an attorney, I really like to see regulations be black and white, cut and dry. But when you're talking about the natural resource there, you just can't do it like that. And so a number of tribes that I've worked with in the past, Whitehead has a wild rice committee, but what I've seen work real well has been like a holistic natural resources advisory committee that advises, and it's made up of the individuals who hunt, fish, and gather, and they are the ones who've been doing it for their whole lives. And we know our people have been doing this for centuries, and they advise on when to set seasons, based on circumstances and factors of that particular year, and so they're able to, and so it's not just wild rice. We know wild rice is a little bit unique because every year it's a little bit different and that needs to be managed in that way. But also, for deer hunting and for angling and netting and all of that, because, and the thing is even though our people have been doing this for hundreds of years, is where we find ourselves right now with invasive species, with climate change, with water quality. There's a lot of other factors that we have to take into consideration as we're protecting our natural resources and keeping in mind that we're protecting those natural resources for the use of our tribal members. And so that's where one of the things I would probably advise would be maybe the creation of a holistic natural resources advisory council that can not just wild rice, but look at all these other issues on a regular basis, every year looking at well, what's happened this year, but we had our early ice this year, so we could move it up, or late ice, so we need to extend it, or, anything with even the hunting, the population, what's going on with that, or whatever, just so that it's not something that, is black and white in the conservation, we're doing it here, we're doing it there, but that committee can make that recommendation and advice based on the people who are out there doing the hunting and fishing.
Well, be good, guys. I hope you clarified some answers, and I'd like to see this put on can you send this to Jacob to put on your website?
I think Maria has a copy, but I'll work with IT or whatever.
Yeah, just send it to, get a hold of Judy, or get a hold of Jesse, or get a hold of Jacob, and they can upload this on your portal.
Okay.
On the DNR portal, and people can look at this on our White Earth Nation website, so.
And I'll put together some proposals about, what you talked about.
Mr. Chair, if I could please,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
I'd just like to say, we have been having this problem, I know it was 2 years ago with our descendants hunting. We did grant that 2 years ago to hunt with as long as they had a state license to hunt within the boundaries of the reservation. But being on the 1855 Treaty Board, the state of Minnesota has been playing games with us for, ever since I've been on that board. When we told them that our descendants could hunt on the reservation, well, then they start saying, well, no, they can't cross state land. So if I had to cross state land to get into reservation land, well, then the state said they were going to say, okay, well, we're going to fine you and take your deer because you don't have a state license to cross our state land. So in turn, we did the same thing to the state. We told them, okay, well, then your state hunter then cannot cross our land then to get into their state land. And so it really has a lot to do with the state on how they regulate. But being our own reservation, I mean, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Al and I had this talk about a year ago, 2 years ago, and it keeps popping up. And I would think as being a reservation, we are a sovereign nation, I would think that we should be able to set our own rules within the boundaries of the reservation, but the state is always sticking their nose in it. That's why this always comes up, because of the state. They set their own damn rules, and I know there's a lot of them that want to hunt. I know we got other ones that come from different tribes that state license want to hunt them within our boundaries, but they have to cross our lands to get into that state boundaries there. I know when I was that 2 years ago, Al, you guys were tearing down deer stands that were on our land after that ruling come across that the state said that we couldn't cross the state lands to get to ours. We did the same thing, and I know Al was saying that they were tearing down deer stands back then, and I don't know, come into a big ruckus over that. But there again, now they were crossing our reservation lands to get the state lands to hunt. So, but I mean, those are some of the factors that, then with all this stuff that's going on, to tell you the truth, I think we should have to sit down with the state of Minnesota, and let them know that this is what we want, this is how we want it. I think that's the only way we could deal with it, because this comes up every year. And I'm glad Al and Amar are there, because I know he talked to me about it about 2 weeks ago, but I was out in Fargo with my sister, but I didn't have a chance to bring it up at our last couple of meetings, so I'm glad it come up in here. And I should make good to our Monica and her crew there, and Al and their crew, because I know they catch a lot of beef for the decisions that are made. But I don't know. I just feel that, whether they're descendant or not, they should be able to hunt within our boundaries as long as they got a state license. But that means they can only hunt within the state lands. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Al?
With the descendant, following under state rules and regulations and stuff, with the licensing and the seasons and limits, the issue with the descendants on tribal land is a tribal issue. It's not a state issue. The state cannot exclude anybody from their properties. It is considered public property. So if a descendant were to be hunting on tribal land, it would have to be with a tribal resolution stating that, and then putting in certain regulation, like you have to be with a tribal member in your party. You know, just something that we could verify why that person is there. Now, non-Indians that aren't descendants, they could be excluded from tribal land altogether, but they can still hunt state land. And if you have a 40-acre chunk of state land that is landlocked by tribal land, and there is no easement going through the tribal land to get to it, that 40 acres is essentially available to tribal members only. The non-Indians wouldn't have the ability to go through tribal land to get there. So if we had, like, our BIA roads inventory, we have that list on our maps. So we know what roads have easements to them. These little side trails, these ATV trails that go through there, every hunting season we're going through and we're confronting non-Indian hunters that are trying to do just that. They're trying to access a little 40-acre chunk, but they can't. We tell them, you're on tribal land, you can't cut through here. So that's what we've been dealing with. I mean, every single year.
Yep. And Ray, this is Lenny. You know, when you're talking about egress and ingress on other property, it gets a little bit hairy. But I know Monica is working on setting up our annual consultation with DNR, and this can be an issue that we discuss with them.
If I can add to that, Ray, this is Will talking.
Yeah, I would like.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ray.
I would like to see that.
Yep.
Because I know we passed resolution, I think it was 2 years ago, then the state comes along and says, oh no, you can't cross our state land to get to your reservation lands. And I thought, wow, what the hell's up with that? So then we turned around and said the same thing, right? And if we can't cross your land to get to ours, then we're gonna do the same thing. And ever since then, it's been kind of a battle with the state. I mean, I don't know how we could, I mean, I know in 1855, we have been trying to deal with that with the state, but it's as though the state don't wanna deal with us. But that would be nice to set up a meeting, Monica, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we have dates, we're gonna be mid-December or early January. We'll have at least all the regional people will be there, so I'll invite you guys to it for sure.
Make sure we get Commissioner Strom in there, I think, for the council will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Michael, my add to that, I like this.
Go ahead, Ray, I'll
Lenny.
go ahead.
That's Alan. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask you, that Rat Lake Trail up there, we do got quite a few tribal members that go out there to hunt and gather, and there are some tribal lands out there, but can they go across those lands to get to that tribal land?
Yeah, so Catherine Warren had sent me some information on that a few days ago. I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet, but I know, like I said before, since it's tribal trust land, that you know, really we need the BIA to step up. If we're having issues accessing it, we need the BIA to step up and make sure, as the paramount title holder, that they're ensuring, since the tribe is the beneficial interest holder, that BIA is ensuring our right for ingress and egress to that property.
But
Yeah. Sorry, Will, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Just to add to that point that was made there too, at these DNR consultations we have, I'd like to bring up the topic too. This is for another time, of course, not today, but I'd like to see us have a little more authority too, over the state, what they do around here as far as fish stocking as well. Sometimes it is some headbutting on the co-management of it or things of that sort, but that's a conversation for a different time. But I'd like to see that addressed as well. Some of these upcoming.
So Kathy can get her big red legs as well.
That's just, Will, he's just giving you the cheeks. They're
One last issue that's been coming up is, in the past, we've issued special resource permits to members of other tribes to come here. Right now, we don't have that in effect, there's no way for them to do that, but we do have members that live here that have been asking if they can't get a special resource permit. Is that something that the council would like to consider?
Well, I think that'll be something that your committee you put together
Yeah.
and
Okay.
get some data and get some, some information from our membership that the avid hunters, they're the ones that, that want
Okay.
to do the best
So
way.
making sure it's not over hunting and.
Mr. Chair, I would also like to see that, some of our elders can't get out and hunt, they do that, I know they do get tagged, but some of them don't get them. So some of our own members are getting deer and tagging them and giving them to the elders, and what I would like to see is if that's what's going on, if they could show us that they're actually giving them to elders, I would like to see them, that person who's getting for the elders get another license so they got one for themselves. Something to think about, because I know some of the elders don't get their license, but yet they want the deer meat, so some of our members are actually going out and shooting the deer and tagging them with their tags and then taking them to that elder, but then they're stuck without a tag because they had given that tag to an elder so that they don't get in trouble. It's just something to think about. I mean, that's because I know there are a lot of our members that do that. They will shoot deer and tag them and take them to our elders, and
Yeah, I don't know.
just something to think about. Food for thought.
I don't know if you heard Al, Ray, but he said that the elder tags are free, and there is a process that they mentioned earlier where the elders can have someone hunt for them.
Actually, anybody can.
Right? Yeah,
I
anybody.
don't understand that, but but what I'm saying is that some of the elders will put in for them,
Yeah.
and they want a deer, and then, but I don't know, maybe we can issue it after they get it. I don't know, but
Maybe we could identify one.
but that's one of the questions that come up to me a lot.
Just give them a second tag. That's the call. They said they gave it to an elder.
Yeah. Either that or have the ability to go into the communities and talking to the elders and saying, hey, if you want a deer this year, we can issue you a tag,
Yeah.
In each community.
Yeah.
And having that ability rather than going on somebody's word and saying, yeah, because I can see a big door for abuse on that. Opening the door saying, yeah, I got a deer for so-and-so, I need another tag. How do you prove that?
We can figure something out though.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I have a final one, just a question. I know there was news yesterday, I think, that at the federal level, the wolf was delisted. And I know DNR put a comment out, Minnesota DNR put a comment out on that, and I don't know if it's something that we want to put a comment out on.
Well, I did speak with the regional DNR lady today and just reminded her that it's still in effect that we're a wolf sanctuary here,
Yep,
and
yep.
to make sure that, she lets her people know about that. I think I'd like to do it a little bit more formal, though, send a statement
Yep.
to them and remind them, but I did speak with her this morning about it, so she's gonna send that out to, I would guess the officers would be the people.
Yeah.
And we have, we did a training last year over in Duluth, and it was federal law pertaining to reservations and tribal trust lands and stuff like that. So all of our conservation officers went to that training, and the federal law instructor was looking at our conservation code, specifically on the wolf sanctuary, prohibited hunting and trapping. And he said that it was actually a Lacey Act violation for anybody to break that Indian law.
Yeah.
So if they came here to the reservation,
You can't get
harvested a
up
wolf
there.
and then left the reservation, that's a Lacey Act violation.
Yeah, I'll move on.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody was working on it. And then I know I talked to Shandy yesterday about several of these issues too, and we'll keep coordinating and go forward.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of things for the code.
Yeah.
Also, so.
We just need to make sure that the state understands that the reservation is a wolf sanctuary.
Yeah.
And that any violation of that is a federal violation.
Federal violation, additional violence, so you can have process. Yep,
Exactly.
Good.
perfect.
Cheryl, did you have any questions before we finish up?
No. I got cut off, I knew I would, but.
I didn't want to not have the opportunity. I know Will sent out the PowerPoint with the fishery stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that online. And any other questions, just give us a call.
I will.
Talk about it.
Oh, thank you guys, yeah, we good.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Make sure you put that on the website now. I told everyone that you're gonna put that on there, so sometime today or tomorrow. So.
We will, all right.
Okay, guys, happy Robin. Good. You want a break, Kat?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break. We good?
Let's call Maria through.
I think.
Sure walk.
I can even,
Yeah. That's good though. Catch my breath.
It is.
And my baby
Warm
has
up
it.
at all?
Huh?
They warm up at all? The road.
It is starting to, yeah.
Whoa, getting warmer.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Here she comes. Are we
Oh,
done?
hold on, no. I
No.
put in, not yet.
Get started.
I know.